Plants vs. Zombies. This game was stupid popular. I'm sure I'm not the only one who can say this yet, but when I was younger, I played an absolute ton of Plants vs. Zombies. I even sometimes go back and download Plants vs. Zombies on my phone when I'm bored and want something to play while I'm meant to be doing my university work. However, if we go over to Google Trends and search up the word Plants vs. Zombies, as you can see, this graph, it doesn't really look the best now, does it? And in this video, I'm gonna try to figure out why. So why don't you barricade your front door, pull out a cup of your survivor rations, subscribe to the big YouTube channel, leave a like on this video and follow me on Twitter, and get comfortable. In this video, I'm going to try to solve the question behind how and why the Plants vs. Zombies series died. Now, before digging into the depressing lore behind the tragic downfall of Plants vs. Zombies, what is Plants vs. Zombies? The year is 2009, a simple time. All around the world, middle-aged fathers were yelling gamer words at children after getting cross-map noob-tubed, and people everywhere were obliterating their enemies in hardcore duels to the death. However, while yes, all of these games were revolutionary in their own right, 2009, it was the birth year of something humongous. Developed by a company called PopCap Games, 2009 was the year that Plants vs. Zombies was unleashed into our world. And, yeah. It was a little bit popular. In Plants vs. Zombies, you got one main goal, one main objective. Objective survive. Yes, as you can see, it appears that the living dead have taken over your local neighborhood. But instead of fortifying your house with, I don't know, spikes or mounted MG42 turret positions, no, for some reason, instead of using ordinary pretty mid ways to defend yourself, you've had the brilliant idea to use plants. This is probably the best decision you've ever made in your entire life. You can put down pea shooters, a plant that shoots peas, and all of the other pea shooter variants. You can put down walnuts, which act as a frontline defensive wall type of plant. You can place down landmines and IEDs. Oh, and by the way, you better hope your legion of plants is strong enough to propel the undead horde. If it isn't, person who decided to watch this video, I actually have a question to ask you. What is the most important thing in the world? If you need some time to think, yeah, I'll give you 5 seconds, mate. That's right. Money! And in Plants vs. Zombies, you're not going to use things like dollars or even the gold standard. No, why would you use that when you can use the power of the sun? To harness the power of the sun, all you have to do is place down a sunflower. The more sunflowers you have, the more sun you can generate. And the more sun you have, the more your garden can go from looking like this to looking like this. Thing is though, what happens when the sun goes down? What happens when your streamer income? What happens when it disappears? Well, after getting harassed by the local drug dealer and doing a little bit of bowling, you're gonna find out, mate. If you've ever played Dying Light before, I'm pretty sure you already know. When the sun goes down, shit's about to start getting real. Yes, during the night, the gameplay of Plants vs. Zombies, while staying similar, it ramps up in difficulty. Instead of getting 25 guaranteed sun from a sunflower, now you only get 10 when you place down these small bosses. Sure, they get bigger and start generating more sun, but this does take some time. Thankfully though, during the night, you aren't just limited to daytime plants. No. God no. During the night, you gain access to more plants. Like a plant that's made up of LSD and the Doom Shroom. And this is something that I really love about Plants vs. Zombies. As you play through all of its different stages as you progress from garden to nighttime to a pool to the fog and finally the roof. There's a giant robot on the roof. How this makes sense, I've got no idea, but I don't really care. This is really cool. Plants vs. Zombies, it does get harder and more difficult, but it never feels unfair or swayed against the player. But at the same time, it never feels like it never feels like you're blatantly overpowered. The more you play Plants vs. Zombies, the more plants you get to counter whatever new undead creation is thrown your way. But if you aren't careful, you're still gonna get beaten, mate. I mean, the zombies are still gonna eat your brains. Another thing I love about Plants vs. Zombies, besides all of the fun side modes and mini games you can play, like walnut bowling and the other one where the zombies are actually plants, is the art style and music in Plants vs. Zombies. Oh my god, this soundtrack, yeah? Absolute banger. But as we all know, yeah, Plants vs. Zombies, it isn't the only game in the larger Plants vs. Zombies franchise. Nah, there are a bunch more. And if Plants vs. Zombies was catching lightning in a bottle, is it possible to catch lightning in a bottle again?
Legalize nuclear bombs.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Plants vs. Zombies 2. It's 2013, there I was. I had just got done playing some Plants vs. Zombies and, what's this? One of my favorite mobile games is getting a sequel? Oh my god. For hours each night, I stayed awake dreaming of what new experiences this game was going to bring me, how the Plants vs. Zombies series was going to evolve in this new installment. Eventually, the 9th of July rolled around and Plants vs. Zombies 2 was released. This is amazing. I can finally play the game that I've been waiting for so long. So I took out my phone, installed it, played it, and what is this? Maybe I was wrong though. Maybe little me was stupid and an idiot and a bozo. Maybe Plants vs. Zombies 2 is a good game. Yeah, after playing this game for a few hours the other night and giving it another chance, I don't really like Plants vs. Zombies 2 all that much. In Plants vs. Zombies 2, they changed two of my favorite things about Plants vs. Zombies 1. First off, they changed the art style and the way everything looks in Plants vs. Zombies 2. I really don't like this new art style at all. Everything just looks so... I don't even know how to describe it, mate. It looks so, like, meh compared to the first game. That, and I also just much prefer the way the plants look in the first game as opposed to the second game. Secondly, they changed the music in Plants vs. Zombies 2. Oh my god, this music is... Now look here, before all of you get angry at me and leave a mean comment on this video, I get it. Plants vs. 2's story revolves around time travel. This game is the Avengers Endgame of the Plants vs. Zombies franchise. I understand, if your levels are all set in different places throughout history, you're gonna want music that complements these settings, and for the most part, Plants vs. Zombies 2, it does this pretty well. When I'm in Egypt, this music makes me feel like I'm in Egypt. Keeping that in mind though, one of my favorite things about the first game was the music used in the special stages of that game. Genuinely, I sometimes even use it for background music in my videos. So let's compare this music from the first game to what happens in the second game. I understand what the music was trying to do in Plants vs. Zombies 2, and I do have a lot of respect for the composers who had to sit down and write this stuff. Writing 159 different pieces of music for one game is insane! But the music in Plants vs. Zombies 2, it doesn't hold a candle to the first game. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong idea here, person watching this video. Just because I don't really like the music and the art style in Plants vs. Zombies 2, it doesn't mean that I dislike the gameplay, because the gameplay of Plants vs. Zombies 2, it's fine really. If anything, it evolves on the first game. The plants in Plants vs. Zombies 2, they gain access to a bunch of ultimate abilities, which is it's pretty cool, and this game is a lot bigger in scope. If anything, it might be a little bit too big. The gameplay of Plants vs. Zombies 2, it's not a problem, but there is one massive problem with Plants vs. Zombies 2, and it's all thanks to two letters. As we all know, EA, very, very greedy. If you can think of a way for EA to make money on something, don't worry, mate, they've already done it. When PopCap Games was bought by EA all the way back in 2011, yeah, I think it's an alarm bells ringing in everybody's minds. Plants vs. Zombies 2, it's littered with microtransactions and adverts and all of that type of stuff. Earn gems, earn coin. As you can imagine, all of these microtransactions and ads, it really soured everybody's taste when it came to Plants vs. Zombies 2. And if you were to go out and ask somebody in the street about what they think about the second game, there's a pretty good chance one of the first things they'll bring up is microtransactions. And now that I think of it, do you want to know what other type of games are filled with microtransactions?
Call the fire department. We just nuked the building.
The Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare games and Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville are they're third-person shooter Plants vs. Zombies games. In the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare games, you can either be cringe and boring and play as the plants, or you can be very cool and epic and play as the zombies. The first two games in the Garden Warfare trilogy really well received, actually. The first one came out, people loved it. The second one came out, people loved it even more. This whole new Garden Warfare
third-person shooter
game hardcore action experience, it was something new and something fresh, and people really liked it. Sure, these games did have a bunch of microtransactions in them because, well, of course they would. These games are Call of Duty, but with plants and zombies. 100% if they release today, they'd probably have a battle pass in them. But yeah, when the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare games came out, people really liked them. But then Battle for Neighborville came out. For some reason, instead of expanding on the proven formula of Garden Warfare 1 and 2, you know, games that people actually really enjoyed, for some reason, Battle for Neighborville is a more PvE focused game. Why would you do this? People are playing Garden Warfare for PvP, not PvE. Now, here's some The Beak lore for you, person watching this video. Out of all of the Garden Warfare games ever released in human history, I've never played the first two games. I've only ever played Battle for Neighborville. Thinking back to when I played it, I know that I played it on my Xbox One, so I think it may have been free on Xbox at some time. Regardless though, I do know for certain that at some point I downloaded this game because me and my girlfriend were quite big Plants vs. Zombies fans. But then we played Battle for Neighborville. We really didn't like this game. My girlfriend in particular, she really hates everything to do with this bloke. Just look at this stupid character design. What the f- I still really don't understand. If you wanted to make a PvE game, you've already got one. It's called Plants vs. Zombies. You know, those tower defense games you made that were stupid popular? You made two of them. If you want to make a PvE game, why not just make a third PvE tower defense game? Oh, wait, what? PopCap did try to make Plants vs. Zombies 3? And it was terrible? Oh, for fuck.
Schizophrenic lifting content.
Plants vs. Zombies 3. What in the name of all that's holy is this? This game is absolutely hideous. Who thought it was a good idea to go from this to this to this? Look, even I, as somebody who doesn't really like the way Plants vs. Zombies 2 looks, even I will say that it looks 10 million times better than whatever this is. Thankfully, PopCap did take down Plants vs. Zombies 3 for a little bit because everybody got really angry at it because, come on man, just have a look at this game. Jesus Christ. And a few months later, on the 7th of September 2021, PopCap re-released a fixed version of Plants vs. Zombies 3. This is what Plants vs. Zombies 3 looks like now. Come Come on, bro. This game looks like one of those knockoff ad games you'll see while scrolling through TikTok. Sure, it does look better than whatever this godforsaken abomination is, but we've gone from the worst thing imaginable to something that is still really bad. Plants vs. Zombies 3, it got its latest update on the 12th of October 2022. So at the moment, it does still seem that this game is getting new features and additions, all of that type of stuff. So I guess all of us are just gonna have to sit back and watch what happens. But oh my god, looking at this game, yeah, you want to know what kind of vibe I get from looking at these characters and all of these designs. Lanky box thumbnail. And while we're on the topic of like weird and wacky character designs, there's one other Plants vs. Zombies game that also has a bunch of weird and wacky designs in it. That game being...
This is a certified hood classic.
Plants vs. Zombies Heroes is a Hearthstone type of card game that, well, this game just doesn't exist. Apparently, this game was released on the 18th of October 2016, meaning that it was apparently released before Battle for Neighborville. But look around you, mate. I mean, do you know anybody who's ever played Plants vs. Zombies Heroes? Exactly. No one's ever played this game before. Thing is though, yeah, remember that question I was so determined to solve at the beginning of this video? I actually think I've got an answer for it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
There are many different factors that go into how and why the Plants vs. Zombies franchise died. Firstly, and most importantly, these games are rife with cringe microtransactions and suffer from something known as mobile game syndrome. Thanks, EA. That, and over the years, it seems like the direction of this franchise has changed and morphed away from what people actually want. Plants vs. Zombies, it started as a really fun, well-made tower defense game. Then there was a sequel. Then there were first-person PvP shooters that they actually really liked them. But okay, step in the right direction, I guess. But then, for some reason, apparently a game called Plants vs. Zombies Heroes came up, which was a Hearthstone style of game. Then the well-liked PvP shooter became PvE focused, and finally a tower defense game came out that looked and worked completely differently to how the first two tower defense games worked. What is going on? It really sucks to see what's happened to one of my favorite gaming franchises, and I really do want to see Plants vs. Zombies get back in the right direction. But as for where we are currently, I mean, I don't know, man. I think Plants vs. Zombies is too far gone. What do you think, though, person watching this video? Do you think Plants vs. Zombies can come back, or do you think it's too far gone? Be sure to let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Number 15. Subscribe to the Beak. If you don't, you will suffer a severe case of cringe, and you are taking part in bozo behavior. Thanks for watching.